Welcome back, True Seeker. Going to be doing this stream in my quiet voice, so hopefully you can hear me just fine. We're going to be watching some video, so that might be easier to hear than me, but I got baby duty. And on baby duty, you got to speak with a softer voice. So, before we get into the Nick Shirley part of the video, again, that's the young man who's been going across the country with his mother, city to city, interviewing Americans about the state of the country. Before we get to that, again, just to cover today's news, which Google does not allow us to be monetized for, it's real important that we don't expose the CIA agendas on CIA-controlled big tech. But again, just in case you're not up to speed, the big news story today, Bashar al-Assad, the supposed leader of the puppet state Syria, which is another CIA state, has fled to Moscow, which is supposedly an enemy of the United States of America, but really is part of this New World Order controlled cabal with a red, white, and blue flag just like us. And again, just to understand the joke here, because this is a joke. For so many years, we've talked about how al-Assad has a September 11th birthday. And this year was the 23rd anniversary of September 11th, 2001. We're going to get to why it matters that he fled on the day, leaving 23 days left in the year. But before we get there, today's also 88 days after his birthday. And he's fled to Moscow, which of course in Gematria equates to 88. If you're new here, long story short, the Cabal, that term comes from Kabbalah. Kabbalah says that God created the world with numbers, letters, and words, and the practice of coding numbers into words is very important to the Cabal. It's known as Gematria. You learn this practice, you see through the rituals every single day. But the English language, which again was standardized by the Jesuits at the end of the 16th century, at the same time they gave us the calendar, there's 4 base ciphers of the English language. And 2 simple ciphers to understand are the alphabetic order and the reverse alphabetic order. Just for example, Vladimir is in Vladimir Putin, who's supposedly hanging out with al-Assad now. Vladimir equates to 88 when you run the alphabetic order forwards, 128 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. In reverse would just mean Z is 1 back to A is 26. But of course today, December 8th, does look a lot like 128. The more important piece, though, is this 23. Again, this year was the 23rd anniversary of September 11, 2001. 9/11 happened on a date with numerology of 23. It was blamed on Al-Qaeda, which has a gematria value of 23. Again, you get this value by just taking the alphabetic order with numerology applied. A is the first letter, so A is 1. L is the 12th letter. The numerology of 12 is 1 plus 2 is 3. Q is the 17th letter. The numerology is 17 is 1 plus 7 is 8. You're just taking the alphabetic order with numerology and then adding up the letters. Al-Qaeda 23. And the 4th cipher is just running the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology. CIA is 23. And again, think about the joke here. Think about how this all fits together. Al-Assad has fled to Moscow, headquarters of Russia, formerly the Soviet Union. Remember, the CIA once funded bin Laden and his Mujahideen or something like that, whatever his group was. The CIA used to fund Osama bin Laden and his group to interfere with the Soviets in Afghanistan. And of course, we invaded Afghanistan on Putin's birthday. And more recently, the war in Israel began on Putin's birthday. But again, the group who overthrew al-Assad today is an Al-Qaeda offshoot, okay? So an Al-Qaeda offshoot group overthrows, and think about it, Al-Qaeda is essentially came out of funding by the CIA. And again, Syria is a CIA puppet state. So again, the point is to see how all of this ritualism is taking place. And remember, here in the United States of America, this nation was founded shortly after Art of War was published, but by a bunch of members of secret societies, and a lot of them were Masons. And again, they etch on the Masonic temple Allah's number, and this is why it's always number rituals, like how 9/11 happened in New York, the 11th state on the 11th day of the month. The World Trade Centers look like an 11. The first flight was AA11. Again, that's the master number in numerology. Hollywood put out the movie The Number 23 with Jim Carrey to make fun of this kind of information, because that's what Hollywood does. Puts the truth in your face and then makes it seem silly. They also use Jim Carrey in the Batman series as the Riddler to introduce Gematria, if you remember that too. All right. Adding on to this 23 thing, 9/11 was referred to as the new Pearl Harbor. Remember, Pentagon construction began on September 11th, 1941, right before Pearl Harbor happened. And in light of 9/11 being called the new Pearl Harbor's December 7th, 127. Buildings 1, 2, and 7 fell in New York City at the World Trade Center site. When the headline broke that al-Assad fled Syria, that was on Pearl Harbor Day, still in the U.S. It was still December 7th in the U.S. when it was December 8th in Syria. And again, that's where the CIA headquarters is, but it was the 83rd anniversary of Pearl Harbor Day, and 83 is the 23rd prime number, coming back to this whole 23 thing. And they talk about how this uprising lasted 11 days, speaking of numerology. Over the past 11 days, a rebel alliance charged through Syria. Oh, okay. Same stuff over. It was just like the 11 was used in what happened with the collapse of Afghanistan's government. And don't forget, Afghanistan's government collapsed on the Jesuit order's birthday, which was also the formal end date of the end of World War II. And it's kind of like how the American Revolutionary War began on Ignatius of Loyola Day, who's the founder of the Jesuits. Remember, the Jesuits are responsible for modern Freemasonry and are the ones that have co-opted this nation. But al-Assad, 19th president of Syria, like the 19 hijackers on 9/11, like how the Quran code says that the book's all about 19, and it was discovered in 1968, the same year World Trade Center construction began in New York, the same year 911 was made the National Emergency Dialing Code, the same year George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones, and the same year Boeing debuted their jumbo jetliners. Again, founder of Boeing's a member of Yale, Skull and Bones as well. But notice al-Assad took office not long before 9/11, the summer before, July 17th, 2000, meaning from the 24th anniversary of him being the leader to his overthrow was 144 days later. And notice the gematria of Jesuit order and overthrow. They both equate to 144 and 54. Again, if you're new here, this is the boss, the Jesuits, who gave us the calendar and the language, and again, run the show worldwide. Again, that is the word overthrow, or that is the word everywhere right now, overthrow. Keep in mind, Pearl Harbor Day has that 144, just like the United States of America, reminding that the Jesuits came out of suppression 144 days after James Madison's birthday, who was the sitting president at the time. If you throw a "the" in front of it, the Jesuit Order's 177, like how he took power on the 17th day of the 7th month, just like New World Order's 177. Again, George Herbert Walker Bush gave a speech about a new world order, a world free or a tear, 11 years to the day of 9/11 happening at the World Trade Center. He was the 11th director of the CIA. And adding insult to injury, Putin just turned 72 years old. From his birthday to him and Assad getting together was the 63rd day of being 72. Notice Syria is 72 when you run it forwards, 63 when you run it in reverse. Jesuit order's also 72, like we got the first Jesuit Pope on the 72nd day of the year. And the Illuminati is also 63. And again, the Illuminati is a real thing that was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, that George Washington wrote his letters, his concerns of the Illuminati infiltrating American institutions, including Freemasonry. And with regards to the leader of the Jesuits, Arturo Sosa, from his birthday to the overthrow was the 27th day of his age. Syria's 27, like ritual. And again, the overthrow happens on a Sunday. You can't get more Jesuit than Sunday. Again, the Jesuits serve the Catholic Church, who worships the sun, when the Jesuit order's logo is the sun. But Sunday and Jesuit, perfect overlap in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. And of course, 21's a key one, because all of this stuff's going down in the 21st century. The 21st century began with September 11th. there's a few other things that are noteworthy here, but notice Fox News is running with this headline today: "Disrupt, Degrade, Defeat." And this comes right after the DDD story with the assassination of the CEO supposedly on 54th Street, and another perfect Jesuit ritual. The United Healthcare story, the day of the Rockefeller tree getting lit up. Jesuit fingerprints all over that, as we talked about. Same 54 code, just like how in They Live, a movie that was truly a reference to the Jesuits, Cable 54 is the enemy of the world. And let's not forget Osama bin Laden was supposedly killed on his 54th day, being 54 years old. But yeah, with that being the news of the day, what I actually want to do in this video is play a few clips from Nick Shirley's trek across America. More recently, he's been in my neck of the woods, the Pacific Northwest, where I'm from. And again, it's sad that more people don't know about what we've been educating about for all this time, including Nick Shirley. But I want you to hear him interviewing this man from Seattle and him just talking about the city and what he sees going down. And again, so many people are focused on the micro and have no clue about the macro. And what I just talked about with all Assad and what's going on in Syria today, it's going to transition right into this. But here, let's listen to this little part of the interview right here. And let me make sure my audio settings are good. I think we are good. Okay, here we go.
What's life like out here in Seattle?
It's all good.
It's all good. How long have you been living here for?
My whole life.
Your whole life?
Yeah.
And have you seen the streets change over the past few years, or what are you mainly seeing?
Since COVID took over, yeah.
So would you say COVID's caused a lot of problems here?
Well, it was the start of it, and it kind of just went downhill from here. We never really recovered from it. We're starting to. But
in what ways has it gone downhill?
I wouldn't say it's gone downhill. It's highlighted the problems that we have, starting with the leadership and down. You know, it's not. You're just seeing the outcome of everything as, you know, from our shitty leadership. That's just what you're seeing. It's all. It starts from the top, you know. So if you don't like something down here, look to the top and you'll find the answer.
Yeah. And as far as like the local government, the mayor here, does he come down here in the city, or like not him personally, but does he come down and try to solve some of the issues down here?
It's unsolvable. It's unsolvable with the government that we have. It's unsolvable. It's just going to keep declining until either an act of God or something else happens, you know?
Yeah, and in what ways is it unsolvable? When you say that, are you referring to like the fentanyl issue here? We've just been walking the streets and we've already found a drug deal happen. People on.
Like I said, that's just what you see, and that's just what they like to. You know, they probably want you to see because it gives them something to blame it on. You know, it's. But the real problem is them. You know, in what other area of life do you have such a problem, and you don't, and the leader isn't held responsible? You know, in what area of life? In sports, yeah, the coach gets fired. You know, in every other area of life, if you have a problem that you've identified, the leaders are held responsible, and we're not here. It's the same government. Doesn't matter who we vote in. It's the same year after year. You know?
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, because the government really is the only people that can't be held accountable because the line ends at them. Right.
And if they're all in cahoots, then it really doesn't matter.
And who should be in charge? And
people.
The people.
The people.
Would you like to see Chaz Part 2 here in Seattle?
I'd like to see a revolution, you know, of sorts. There's enough of us versus them, you know. What are they going to do? Shoot us all? I don't think so.
Yeah. And have you personally been affected by the fentanyl crisis in Seattle?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, little girl.
It is what it is. I don't really look at that. I look at that
Oh, goodness gracious. Mama's here.
It's okay,
as
little
a
love.
leadership problem, not a fentanyl problem.
Investment together.
And why would you blame the fentanyl on the leaders of the city?
Like I said, look what they've been doing. We're putting people in treatment. We're doing all that. Has that worked? We've been doing the same thing since 1970, since, you know, the Reagan era or whatever. That's the 80s, but, you know, doing the same thing since the Reagan era, and nothing's changed. It's just gotten worse. You know, it's time to do something.
And we have a local legend here with us, Jonathan. Jonathan, come on the stream real quick.
Right.
And
These are the fellas I'm talking about.
how are you guys doing?
I hope you guys lose your jobs Because you're saving so many lives. That's what I mean. You know what I'm saying? I hope
It's not that you hope we lose our jobs. It's that you hope we get expanded.
Thank you so much for your time.
To other areas than just down here because we've been so successful.
That's what I mean. I mean, these are good guys. They're saving lives out there. They go around reviving people. This is the taxpayer-funded group, WDC, and they carry Narcan, and they've saved so many lives on the streets. How many people have you hit with Narcan?
Just today. I mean, today I don't think we've had any, but over this week I know we've had at least 3. So
really,
it's something that's needed, and so we're here to deliver it. We deliver care. That's what WDC stands for. So
and everyone's now moved to Chinatown. That's the problem.
So that's what we're trying to get an expansion to that. I don't know where the process is, but we're getting there, and that's really we just come out to do the work.
Because the addicts and dealers know that the city leaders are cleaning this place up now, right? Mm-hmm. So they've all been pushed 10 minutes away to the CID, and you've seen it with your own eyes. We need you guys out there.
Oh, thank you, man.
What does WD stand for? WDC.
We deliver care. There it says on the sweatshirt there.
So if it weren't for you guys, what do you think the streets would look like?
They would continue to be the same at least, and there's also an authoritative presence from the police that we don't bring to the table. We do de-escalations. If we see anything getting kind of violent or escalated in that way, we step in and try to see if we can diffuse that situation and have a peaceful outcome. So a lot of these incidents that you see out here with the police, between the police and the homeless and addicts, it would probably get worse. Some of the businesses that we look out for, clear the fronts of the businesses out. When they call the police come in with that authoritative approach, and it causes a kickback and a retaliation from some of these people, and they get windows broke out and stuff like that. So they tend to call us to help out instead of the police or before they call the police, so that we can come in and kind of diffuse it without that extra element of authority where we're just telling people what to do. We ask them to please, move from in front of the place. We ask them to please not smoke in front of families as they're walking through the downtown area, and they have that relationship with us, and so they have that respect, and we can kind of get them to move along or at least go to another area to do it because we don't judge them.
So the users respect you more than they would if a police officer would come to them?
I say yes, but don't quote me on that.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys.
Have a good one.
Okay, so I like that conversation right there, but the one they were having before with the guy who's lived in Seattle his whole life, again, he said, since COVID, the drugs have really taken over the city, and namely the fentanyl. Again, this is Seattle, Washington, where they are here. Again, very few Americans are aware that in the same year, 1968, we just talked about 1968 with World Trade Center construction beginning and 911 being made the National Emergency Dialing Code, and Boeing from Seattle debuting their jumbo jetliners, and Bush getting out of Yale and Skull and Bones. In that same year, coronavirus was coined as seasonal flu. And again, I still remember Lester Holt in 2020 coming on for the NBC Nightly News and going, tonight, flu cases way down, coronavirus cases way up. It was just unbelievable. It's like, God, the way they can just mock us and get away with it. But yes, in 1968, coronavirus was coined as seasonal flu. And that was the same year that fentanyl was approved by the FDA. And that's also the same year that the book The Population Bomb was published by a Yale professor. And it was a call for a need to depopulate. And of course, the war on terror has caused massive depopulation worldwide, especially with men in the Middle East. Coronavirus and fentanyl, some of the most deadly things of the 21st century, along with the war on terror. And again, what's been the most deadly about the virus is if you went to the hospital or took the recommended solutions. And don't forget, Amazon out of Seattle remade the show Utopia, kind of hinting at the reality of that. Again, you don't know about Utopia, you should look into it. It was a British show that came out in 2013. Amazon remade it in the time of the lockdowns in 2020, about billionaires faking a pandemic to mass vaccinate, to mass sterilize, to get the world's population down to 500 million. And that went along with what was on the Georgia Guidestones that stood for 42 years, which were demolished in the time of the pandemic, limit the Earth's population to 500 million. But again, all of these things are agendas. And the year 68, we were talking about the CIA's connection to 23. Again, in the base cipher, CIA also equates to 68. Papa Bush was in the CIA back in 68. And again, you have this powerful secret organization essentially running this government, other nations' governments. You learn more about the Cabal Code. You see who really runs the CIA. It is the Catholics in action. Donald Trump, Jesuit educated, just appointed Catholic educated Notre Dame grad to be the head of the CIA on the Superior General's birthday. That's Arturo Sosa, the leader of the Jesuits. He made that appointment November 12th. And again, the calling card of the Jesuits is 201. That is their number at the end of the day. And there's a reason the CIA was created in a massive 201 ritual on the 201st day of the Pope's age. And there's a reason that 201 was the number for the coronavirus simulation. It was called Event 201, put on by the Jesuit Klaus Schwab, who leads the World Economic Forum. There's a reason the World Trade Centers were the twin towers that became zero towers before they became 201. There's a reason that the population bomb book is 201 pages long, and on and on and on. But again, that's why instead of looking at all these things on a micro level, you got to look on a macro level. Who's pulling all these strings to make all of these agendas happen? Seattle's a really instrumental city in it. Just like how Seattle was so crucial to 9/11, it was the most essential city in the world to the coronavirus pandemic. Again, for people who are unaware, the firm that helped build the World Trade Centers, Magnus and Klemenko Associates, is from Seattle. Boeing planes were the only planes supposedly in the ritual, even though there weren't any real planes. And no, that's not some dumb idea. Just look into the first footage of a plane hitting the building. It was obviously a CGI fake because it flew all the way through the World Trade Center. The man who designed the World Trade Center is Japanese-American from Seattle, Washington. 9/11 had kamikaze pilots. They called it the new Pearl Harbor. Hello. And then, of course, the first confirmed case of the cooties in the world was in Seattle in Bill Gates' backyard. William Henry Gates equals 201, like the Jesuit order, like Ignatius Loyola, like the million other 201s that go with the Jesuits in their history. But again, Seattle, the land of the world's biggest needle. Seattle in King County, when Corona means crown. And as we said at the beginning, we said this is going to end up with the death of the Queen. We called that at the start of the pandemic. And of course, the Queen died 201 days after her COVID diagnosis, on a very Catholic day, the Virgin Mary's birthday, September 8th. As the Queen City won on Thursday Night Football to open the season that year, Buffalo. And, that had to do with Prince dying the day of the Queen's birthday after Vanity, his girlfriend from Niagara Falls, the Buffalo area, died. And Prince's death 201 days before they put Jesuit-educated Trump in there in the 2016 election. Anyway, I don't want to jump around to too many things, but you learn the code, you see all the ritualism. You'll understand what really happened to Prince and Vanity and a million other things. And as for these guys out here, the we deliver care, I mean, I've been talking about things like that since forever. Like, police are not effective. And police are only here for glorified tax collectors and to essentially be thugs on behalf of the tyrannical state and enforce unjust policy with the gun on their hip. Yeah, there's a million things that could be so much more effective in society than the armed thugs with the double-digit IQs, which we call police officers. And yeah, something like this, a guy who's well-spoken, has some street knowledge, knows how to speak to people, comes across humbly, obviously just way better mechanism to solve problems on the street than any, cop is going to be. If you guys forgot, when we were down in Seattle numerous times speaking out about these agendas, many a times we talked to cops because they always send the cops out there to be an armed presence intimidating us. You guys might recall when they sent a guy trying to pick a fight with us a few years ago down by Pike's Place, and the cops were just sitting there watching, hoping we were going to do something so that they could pounce in. And again, cops will never be the solution to anything, and they're not helpful. If you ever need a problem, they're a waste of our tax dollars is what they are. And for everyone who's like, oh, we need police, you must be some kind of brain dead idiot. No, what we need are rights and liberties and the ability to protect ourselves from threats, and we need to be more independent and more self-reliant. You have a armed society with decent values. You have a polite society. You go to a city like Seattle where you got a bunch of loser wimps who want to give up their rights and liberties at the snap of fingers, and the next thing you know, you have a city like Seattle that's under some kind of everything you see going on there right now. I need to explain it. But I also want to play this clip right here. This is Nick in the Capitol Hill neighborhood, and he's talking to a man on a bench who probably does have a little bit of a mental issue going on, but you can also tell that he's 1,000,000% on point. And in a way, when he talks to this man, who Nick probably thinks is crazy too, you kind of get where the stereotype comes from of like intelligent people who see what's wrong with society being called schizophrenics. Notice how everything he says is 1,000,000% correct, but he's socially awkward. And if you haven't followed Nick around, he didn't really say anything to this guy, but normally he's going around and like complaining to people who have this perspective. And that's because Nick's a young kid who doesn't know anything about anything. But I do commend him for getting out there and asking people, what's on their mind and how they're thinking, because it is a good example of everything going on in the country and what's wrong with it. I mean, this guy's gone all across the country back and forth over and over and talked to thousands of people, and I've been listening to a lot of it in the background while I do my work. Out of the thousands of people he's talked to, there might have been 5 people the whole time who had a clue about anything, and this is one of the 5 people right here. So let's listen to this as well.
Yeah, we're talking to people here inside Capitol Hill. What book are you reading?
White Knight, Batman.
Oh, I love Batman.
It's where Joker is the good guy.
Oh, Joker's the good guy in this Batman. How long have you been living here in Capitol Hill for?
Oh man, I've been here.
Oh, ads. Hold on.
I've been about 3 years, maybe.
3 years.
In Capitol Hill. I've been here for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
In Seattle, but
Were you part of Chaz?
part of what?
Of Chaz or Chop?
What's that?
When they took over Capitol Hill.
Just to remind people, the Chaz, the Chop, that was all planned by the city. It had nothing to do with a rebellion of the people. The city even put out bricks for them, fenced off areas. But do you guys remember how the same day that was in the news, the autonomous zone in Seattle, which came out of the George Floyd thing, which came out of Memorial Day, which went back to the Civil War? Do you remember how the exact same day that was the focus of the news, this autonomous zone in Seattle, like how when the Confederates happened, the Confederate States were an autonomous zone? Do you remember how the exact same day the market fell 1,861 points, like how the American Civil War began in 1861? Again, this is how you can see definitively that there is an Illuminati. They allow these crazy things to happen in cities, these disruptions. They sync up the market with it. I mean, there's a million examples of this, as we're always showing. But just don't forget that artifact, how the market fell 1,861 points the day of the autonomous zone news. Again, most people, that stuff just goes right past them, doesn't even register in their brain, no idea even what they're looking at. But here, let's continue.
The Capitol Hill, it was autonomous zone.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, Chaz, or do you know Chop?
I don't know what Chaz or Chop is.
Oh, back in like 2020 when they took over Capitol Hill.
Who took over Capitol Hill?
They said like they blocked it off to the police and everything like that. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. I never heard of it.
Never heard of it?
No, I haven't. I mean, so what do you... It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, this is where Chaz was.
Who's Chaz?
Chaz is what they called the group of people here inside Capitol Hill called themselves. It was...
Called themselves Chaz.
Yeah, that was
that
the group.
Short for Charles or...
No, it's short for Capitol Hill on Autonomous Zone.
Autonomous...
Like it was
we're getting to the good part.
Something with an A, zone.
Autonomous. It means self-sufficient? Autonomous?
Yeah, like they eventually became self-sufficient. Like people were working inside. Like I think the goal was to create like their own society here inside of Capitol Hill that police couldn't come in.
You know, they only have the power you give them anyway.
How do you feel about the election results?
Dude, I think it's absurd that people vote in the first place. Do you really think government is counting your votes and like, you know, I cannot believe people think that we are governed by fucking public opinion. That has nothing to do.
And again, let's just real quick go over all the rigged selection this year, which we called out years in advance, why they'd bring back Donald Trump and another rigged selection as a split-term president like Grover Cleveland when he had his convention in Cleveland in 2016. Again, you guys, this is the 48th united government in history, and that's when a single political party has the House, Senate, and Oval Office. It's the 48th time in history. That was called on the day leaving 48 days left in the year, and it was in a race in Arizona that decided it. Arizona is the 48th state in order of statehood. Again, Donald Trump equals 48 in Gematria. A lot of 48 rituals with Trump. Cleveland equals 48. And if history repeats itself, remember there was a massive economic collapse at the beginning of Grover Cleveland's second term. Trump's second term's coming up. But then also, Trump supposedly got 312 electoral college votes. When was the final race in the House called? On the third day of the 12th month, giving the Republicans 220 members in the House and the majority. Donald John Trump also has the gematria value of 220, like how Inauguration Day is on the 220th day of his age, like how RFK Jr., when he dropped out of the race, it was the 220th day of his age, the same day he endorsed Trump. And then you have the parallels with Trump and the George Wallace assassinations, which had a lot to do with 220, as we covered back on July 13th, and a few other things. But again, you learn this Kabbalistic code of letters and numbers and dates and why they use this system, because again, in Kabbalah it says God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. You see how these people are playing God, but you also see definitively how rigged the selections are. Again, 312 electoral college votes. The sitting pope, the first Jesuit pope, his name equals 312 in Gematria, but that's also the Chicago area code. And again, Trump defeated the woman who had her DNC in Chicago, who's riding on the coattails of Obama, who came up in the political scene in Chicago. Oprah's, who asked Trump back in '88 if he'd want to be president someday. She's out of Chicago. The day they called the selection for Trump this time, they announced the death of the Candyman actor when Candyman said in Chicago, and connected to some slums, Cabrini Green, like how Trump's been a racist slumlord in the past. Again, all of these things are related, and they all show just what a big, rigged joke it all is. And this guy, who you can tell, he's not exactly socially normal. But again, he sees it. He's annoyed that people can't see through these rigged selections. Here's Nick Shirley going across the nation, so proud that he voted for Trump, and telling young people, if you guys watch this guy, 500 people must have at least said to him as he went across the country the same thing, like, I don't vote because the whole system's BS. And Nick would be like, oh, that's wrong. You need to vote, otherwise you're not doing your job. It's like, no magical underwear, kid. I appreciate you getting out there with your mom and going across the country because your daddy's rich and can afford to send you from place to place, and somehow you get to go on Fox News. But no, nobody should be voting in these rigged selections. Your vote did not count for anything. They were always going to put Trump back in there, just like how they put Biden in there in 2020 and Trump in there in 2016 and Obama before that and the Bushes before that. Nobody's voted for any of these people. They were all rigged and selected to be right where they were. And you can prove that all day, every day. The other side of the argument, you don't have an argument other than, oh, I believe the authorities and the stuff they report on TV. Okay, that's not good. That's not good. That's not a good argument. It's just an idiotic, low-brain argument that's completely inept and wrong. Again, we got stacks and stacks of evidence over here how this is all numerology-based ritual every day. And I get tired of the dopes, too, who listen to me talk, and they're like, this guy thinks numerology means something. No, dope. If you could listen and you had listening skills, you'd realize I'm saying I looked into these things because this is what the ruling class is into. I didn't create Freemasonry and etch on the temple all his number. I didn't get into Kabbalah. That's what they're into. It's amazing how bad people's listening is, because people always come back with that, oh, this guy thinks numerology is important. No, they think numerology is important. Okay, let's continue, though.
What is that? Is it
microphone?
Okay, dude, no one counts the votes. We have nothing to go by other than what they tell us. And what they tell us is fucking a bunch of bullshit. You think that it's been Republican, Democrat since at least World War II. I mean, we have no say in who's running the deal, but we're told to vote. And I cannot believe a person would think that the government would tell the truth about that, when they never told the truth before, and they think their votes are being counted. It's just so, I cannot believe people think that the votes are being counted by the people who are in charge. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Think about it.
So do you think
you have nothing to go by other than what they tell you. Who won is who they said won. That's all you have to go by. Mm-hmm. You have no way to check the information at all. electoral college. It's all a bunch of bullshit. It's obviously bullshit. It's obviously bullshit, but everybody does it and preaches its civic duty. It's just retarded.
Who do you think's running the country?
People we never see.
Guys, try not to skip and listen to me. Please do everything you can.
Sorry.
And you know, this coronavirus thing concerns me because that was a worldwide bunch of bullshit, man. That was on a scale which I've never seen before. But listen, they've always controlled information within the population by making what they want to be true known and making what they don't want to be true not known. All they got to do is make sure everybody knows about it and people will assume it's true. Like the coronavirus, that's all they did. It was the flu, ladies and gentlemen. In 2021, there was 0 flu deaths reported in the state of Washington. 0 flu deaths.
And that's exactly right. And that's why it's amazing that they got away with this. Had anyone even looked into the origins of coronavirus, they would have seen that it was coined as seasonal flu, not to mention it wasn't just Lester Holt going on and saying, flu cases way down, coronavirus cases way up. The next day they'd be reporting on how no flu remedies are selling this year, only coronavirus remedies. It's just like, oh my God, man. I mean, wow, talk about the idiocracy. But let's continue. This man's killing it.
Yes, not 0. And you check that information, I just told you. It's true. So that tells me everything I need to know right there. It's just a bunch of bullshit, but it was done on a global scale. Okay, I kind of think it was like trying to see, what they can make us do, They made us do a bunch of shit. Everybody starts preaching his civic duty because no one wants to seem unconcerned with the health and well-being of others. But, it's just...
Stephen Bunn, I know you're in the chat, and I don't want to be mean, but your question of what happened to the flu is like making my blood boil inside. Like, really? Dude, it was the flu. Look, what don't you get? Why do you even need to ask that question? Are we really, like, if you're, I don't know what's going on in your house, but like if you're drunk right now or you're like super stoned, I mean, I'm working on an average of 2 hours of sleep a day over here. Like, what don't you get about what the man on the bench is saying and I'm saying right now? They just reported that they made it scarier than normal. It was just like flu like every year. What do you think? I just told you it was coined as seasonal flu. Like, what? Dude, I mean, just, come on, man. Work on the IQ, big time.
It's retarded, and we have no way to check this information we're given. We just have to accept it as gospel. I can't believe people do. I can't believe people do.
Yeah, I think you're bringing up some good points right there, sir. It is weird that nobody died from the flu.
Yeah, dude, people die from the flu all the time.
Yeah, but it's weird that there are no reported.
People have died from the flu, man. All kinds of different strands of flu have come through throughout the centuries, and fucking people die from the flu all the time. Yeah. Okay, all they did was making it known. That's it. They made it known and made sure everybody knew about it. And regardless, we have no way to check the information we're given. We just have to accept it as gospel. And people do. I can't believe it. It's just it's absurd. People are stupid. I mean, I obviously am stupid too because I'm a people. But goddamn, man, I can't. People actually think voting. It's like keeping a lie, keeping a lie alive that's enslaving us is voting. That's what it's doing. You're keeping this lie alive. Obviously, our votes don't count. You don't count our votes. I know you don't count our votes. You never count it. You give a shit what I think, okay? You're just going to do what you're going to do, and I have to accept it. And then everybody goes around talking about, civic duty, and that pisses me off.
Okay. Civic duty. Well, thank you so much for your time. I can tell you're very passionate about this. Is there anything else you're passionate about?
I believe people vote, though. It's just, think about how ridiculous it is to ever vote for anyone. It's retarded. There's no way you can, the results of who's won. Yeah, it's not dictating shit.
Yeah, it's not dictating shit.
It's not dictating shit.
It's not dictating shit, everybody. Hey,
man, thank you.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your comic book.
And this Nick kid's being mocking because he's been going around the nation it's interesting he didn't even try to argue with that guy. But anytime anyone's told him they don't vote, he's like, what? You have to vote. It's so important. It's like, God. All right, magical underwear kid just born yesterday. No, it's not. all of literally everyone who votes in these rigged selections is a moron. And the way that guy expressed it was perfectly right. Like, I can't believe how retarded everybody is. I can't believe how stupid they are. 1,000,000% correct. That is the real problem in this country. And I want to play this as well. This father with his son. He might start off seemingly, we're just going to listen to it all the way through, and then he plugs a YouTube channel, and I saw he only has like 30 subs on his YouTube channel, but I liked a lot of what this man had to say. Maybe not quite as enlightened as the man on the bench, but another guy that sees a lot of the right things here. This was down in Eugene. This is where University of Oregon is, 3 hours south of Portland, but here we go.
Hey.
Duran,
nice to meet you, Duran.
This is my son.
This is your son. Do you like living here in Eugene? Mm-hmm. Pretty chill spot. What do you think about Eugene?
I would move if I had a choice.
Yeah, what keeps you here?
His mother.
Awesome.
You guys picked a heck of a spot to come.
Yeah, I mean,
downtown Eugene.
I don't know where else to go here in Eugene.
Oh, there's some beautiful spots, but what you have is a real tear between you got Nike money, U of O, and the university students, and then you have this going on with demographic, all the policies that go into place. There's so much. I mean, what are you guys trying to?
Awesome.
What are your questions, really? What are you trying to figure out?
We're trying to figure out if Oregon is fixable.
Is any of this fixable? I mean, where do you start? I start with children. I start with my sons. Mm-hmm. I volunteer at the school a lot.
Yeah. Like, how could Oregon get people that are on drugs working, or get these streets to where people want to come out and walk these streets and work inside these big cities? Because here in Portland yesterday, it was completely dead.
Yeah.
Only people out, or there was very few people out, and if they were out, the majority of them were people living out on the streets.
What I found is purpose. People need a purpose. And so I've done a lot of work with the houseless around here. And one of the things, if you go around, you'll see a bunch of shelters set up that are just for single people when they can stay at them. What we were talking about was trying to get them, instead of just giving them food, instead of just giving them all these things, it's how do we work towards something and giving them some kind of structure. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, humans thrive in structure. So how do we create a structure that enables people to continue to improve in life? Mm-hmm. So for them, it would be like, can we create a garden? Can we create a chicken coop? Can we give you something to work towards? And when we were doing that work, it was getting good traction. But the system's not set up for that. The system is set up for us to fail. This is all designed for this whole collapse to happen. Because right now, there's no issues going on right now because everybody is suffice. They got blankets, they got their stuff, what they need. But as soon as we start having food issues, that's when we're going to start having serious issues. Because already people are breaking in, cars are getting their gas emptied, problems are starting to happen. And that's okay when you have food, shelter, warmth. But when you lose food, then you're going to start having big issues because it's going to get chaotic around here. And I would not be here if I had a choice. I would be more isolated. I'd be working on getting those three things down under this. But Eugene's in a lot of trouble. Their finances are in trouble. It's just a mixing pot of everything. I mean, I could take you to an Oregon Duck game. They're the #1 team in the country right now, right down the street from here. Completely different vibe than what you're getting right now. I could take you down to Spencer Beach. This whole place is absolutely beautiful. This demographic, the ocean is an hour away, the high desert is an hour away, you got skiing, you got the stuff here is really magnificent. But it's just collapsing.
Hey everyone, big heads up, Paleo Valley's running a sale on all their meat sticks right now. You can get 30 sticks for $36.
I mean, it's the money. I mean, look at everything. The money supply. I mean, how many $1 trillion in debt is the U.S.? $35 trillion in debt? Where do people think that's going? And eventually, the money becomes worthless. People keep thinking inflation's going up. Prices of things are going up. It's not going up. The value of the dollar is going down. Because what a gallon of milk cost, value to us, never changed. Mm-hmm. But the price is going up because the dollar is going down. There's so many different things going on. And this is just part of enabling. We just can't enable people. And it's how do you get away from an enabling mentality into one of more purpose. And this, the fastest way to enlightenment is through misery. So sometimes you got to fall on your face before you actually start to figure out how to figure life out.
Yeah. So do you think the city should help out the homeless a little less than what they're doing? Because we just talked to somebody over here. He said you can get anything you need here. You need food, you got it. If you want.
It's not helping them out less, it's helping them out in the right way.
Yeah.
It's the whole Einstein quote of, you can't solve a problem with the same consciousness which created it.
That's deep.
And it's just not, they're not looking for solutions because it's all government funded. It's just a waterfall of fake dollars that build up this artificial system, and it's going to start collapsing, and it's just a matter of time. So how do you fix it is you really have to have peace with everyone around you. Just because someone's homeless doesn't mean you can't talk to them. The biggest thing a homeless person will do is enjoy having conversation because they don't feel like they're invisible. Mm-hmm. They feel like they're an actual person, which they are. They're just being completely disregarded in society. You see it in schools. I mean, COVID was not a help. I mean, covering kids' face up, that's how you learn speech. I have so many kids that have speech impediments and have social issues because they were withdrawn from society and covered with their face, so they can't see they can't learn from watching someone speak. Mm-hmm. So how do you fix this? It's, again, I would go to, how do we get them to start getting their own food? They have plenty of space to create gardens, to create chicken coops, to create all that. Yeah. So the number one thing that I would do to stop this is to get everybody to start to understand the importance of our food supply and getting that dialed in.
Yeah.
Because shelter is easy. Shelter's everywhere around here. Clothing, easy. All of that's easy. Not an issue. Food is the biggest thing that we need to work on to really try to turn this around. Long term, it's our children.
Yeah. So, do you think they've already messed up so much with these generations that we're seeing here on the streets that now they need to continue helping the people here and then focus more on the children, so that way we don't see children growing up and finding themselves on the streets?
I mean, it's people of conscious. It's a very select few people that need to step up to really get the movement of something going. Because it's not a single person's issue. It's like, how do you? It's so hard to change something when it's such in its ways without it just collapsing on itself, right? It's like what does a farmer do at the end of the season? They till their crops, right? Mm-hmm. What does a forest fire do? Like after that, it wipes everything out and keeps going. So it's kind of like, can you put the brakes on something that is completely collapsing? For what sake? At what point do you just till the ground and say we got to start over? Is that God? Is that not what God is doing right now with us? In a lot of ways, it's just like, what is our reason here? Is it to be a cog in the wheel? Like they put in God that we trust on our money. That is a spit in the face. Mm-hmm. It's paper. It has no intrinsic value to it whatsoever. And they just make it up to as high as they want to do. And they just artificially, this is why they say, what's the other saying? The road to good intentions the road to hell is paved in good intentions, right? Because everybody's spending money because they think that's the thing to do. But really, you're propping it up with something fake on something that we think, our ego thinks is fixing the problem. Mm-hmm. So I know we're going at different levels here.
Yeah,
and I know we're talking to a few audience. I'm trying to connect with both of you a little bit, but I also know you have an audience. So
So we're trying to understand, like, what you're saying is really good. Is like, here in Oregon, it seems like they've created such their own problem. We've only been here for a day, but by them decriminalizing drugs in 2020 with COVID and the way they have seemingly let people continue, they got hooked people up on drugs essentially by decriminalizing drug like fentanyl, and now they criminalize it again. But how do they fix that?
But even if it is criminalized, it's like, what do you do with the people? Like, you have to throw them in jail? Like, that doesn't solve the issue. So the decriminalization makes sense. It shouldn't be a crime to have a victim. Like, people get addicted on stuff because they don't want to be here in this reality. My sister is an addict. She's been an addict her whole life. She's not like what you see walking around here. But nonetheless, there's a spectrum to everything. So this is just one aspect of so many things going on in the world. And it's not just here. You know how many people I've talked to that get dropped here off on buses? It's so many other states ship their people here. So it looks way worse here than it does in other places. When in reality, it's just a sewage spot in a way. It's just like, this is where we're sending them. You guys made the policy. This is your fault. We're going to put it on you. We're shipping our people there. So this issue that's going on is not just in blue states. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
You're looking at housing going down. You're looking at military stuff. You're looking at AI stuff taking over jobs. You're talking about one aspect of when you're talking about the homeless. But what are we doing at the end of the day for all the other? The elderlies? I could take you to 100 homes where the elderly are just completely neglected. Like, what are we doing with those? We got CNAs taking care.
It seems like a lot of the focus has to go towards the main stuff that's pressing the people here inside these big cities that's seen on the surface.
And then for that specific solution, I would say to come back to the food. You have to get people to come back to, you have to come back within. That's spiritually speaking, that's within a city, that's within the solution. It's the same thing if I'm spending money right now. Anywhere I go to spend my money, if I'm buying something from outside my community, that is like me cut or bleeding out. It's like the energy is leaving. Money is supposed to be energy. And we want to be bringing that energy here. Anytime we're working and are spending money elsewhere, all our energy is going elsewhere. It's like a boat taking on water. And if we're not creating value within our city, it's going to go under. If we create value here, then it will be afloat in a storm. And that's what all these other communities need to do. They need to learn to create value, and they need to learn to start purchasing and buying things within their own community. The best thing any community could do right now would be to get on a local silver community currency. That would be the best thing for any community to do.
That would be crazy.
100% best thing you could do. I could probably get assassinated if that actually. Thankfully, I believe I'm higher purpose of. I know I'm a higher purpose with God. So,
What would you call your currency?
My currency? I live on the currency of God. Okay. I do not. I've had turbulences in life. I spend my time down at the school volunteering to work with children. Okay. Because it's the only thing that brings peace in my life right now is the joy of working with kids, because they're so innocent in this. So we do rock climbing. We go, like, we could take you to the school right now and they'd have all the kids would run out to us, because when we go there, we have fun. And the teachers keep coming to me, you should get paid for doing this. And I'm like, none of us get paid, or we should all get paid well.
Yeah. But have you already made all your money? Like, are you working right now?
I live month to month on just the goodness of strangers, the goodness of family, the goodness of whoever. Last year we didn't have heat for a month and a half. We didn't have electricity. It's fine. It's okay for my children. I have 3 children, and I put them in hardships so they can grow from it spiritually and understand the true value is with our family, with each other. It's not with all the possessions that we have. So for me, financially, I made a lot of money. I had a company that was going. I had people hitting me up worldwide for a company I was growing, and I fell on my face from that. I've grown and blundered my way to where I'm at now, which is I found God in my process. And now that I have God in my life, now I'm finding, okay, where is my joy? My joy is with children. My joy is bringing God to other people. My joy is bringing awareness so that those have those aha moments.
Yeah.
And so yeah, money-wise, no. It's like, it's not my priority though. Mm-hmm. The money supply is a joke. And so if we were all on a silver supply, 100% I would stand behind it. 100%, let's all get paid well.
Yeah. Can I ask you a few questions? What do you think about all this that we're talking about?
I don't really understand it because, I don't know. It's interesting, but it's kind of funny because I don't understand it much.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about it because you volunteered with me when we go down and we've helped with serve homeless with food, right? And you've seen tents all over town.
Yeah.
And you see what we do. Mm-hmm. Does any of it make sense to you whatsoever, or is it just because I go over a lot of stuff with my kids.
Yeah.
And so this is
Someone saying here in the chat, good role model. Godspeed, they're saying. Hey, well, thank you guys so much for your time coming out today.
Yeah, no,
Greatly
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate
best of luck. There. Yeah, 1 sec, everybody.
All right, so that guy hit the nail on the head. I mean, really, everybody should be focused on food and community, because that's what we're all going to need when, the shit hits the fan and they pull the rug out from under us all the way. And they do have plans to do it at some point. It could still be decades away. It might be our ancestors. It might be Lil Ruby who has to deal with it when she's 40 years old. It might still be a way down the road, but if people never address the problem that's coming, it will come, and they've etched it in stone. There will be massive food shortages and whatnot here in America, just as there have been at other points in history in other parts of the world. And all that was showing how quickly it can happen in the time of the scandemic. For the person in the chat who said it sounds like what he's saying is communism, well, that must be because you're an indoctrinated moron. What did he say that sounded like communism? Working locally, keeping the wealth within the community? That's called common sense. That's called what our ancestors did. What do you think? Having the same 5 corporations that own everything and everyone shops at and spends their money at for fast food or Walmart, what do you think? That's capitalism? No, that's crony capitalism, and that's why a small group of people have sucked up all the wealth of this nation, and crony capitalism is a lot like communism. So, again, I just get tired of listening to the same dopes in the comment section with their stupid comments. God, indoctrinated retards. You know exactly who I'm talking to, the person who just left the dumb comment. As for the breaking news about Jay-Z, again, just before Jay-Z and Diddy turned 54 years old, I said how they'd probably both be going down at age 54. Diddy definitely went down at age 54. For Jay-Z, it's going to be a few days after his 55th birthday, but this was all being foreshadowed while he was 54. Remember, 50 Cent was... And other people are saying it's going to be Jay-Z next. And look how perfect it is, you guys. It all goes back to Diddy's No Way Out album, the album that came out after Biggie died. A lot of people heard Jay-Z's voice for the first time on that album on the song Young G's. From a Young G's perspective, and people think they're talking about gangsters, but nope. Again, the G is the symbol of Freemasonry, and modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation, and the Jesuit headquarters is the Church of the Jesu. Look how perfect this is. Again, Jay-Z just turned 55. The story is that him and now Sean Combs raped a 13-year-old girl after an MTV VMAs party. MTV and VMAs both 55. And remember, they set Diddy's trial for May 5th, 5/5, while he's 55 years old. And don't forget, he went down right after the Dawn Richard allegations, just days after she came out, and that was 55 days before Diddy's birthday, if you'll recall. That was September 10th, 55 days before his birthday. She was on MTV Making the Band. For the record, she made her allegation September 10th, and it was all over the news on September 11th, which was the day of the VMAs this year. But MTV, 55 the big waist, 10 the small way, 55 is the 10th triangular and 10th Fibonacci number. It was a 55-page report from Don Richard. This bimbo, who's some kind of Illuminati tool, was getting hundreds of thousands of views, just spreading nothing but bullshit. Satan, again, has the 55 and 10 connection. Jack Black sold his soul to Satan at the MTV Awards one year. A lot of Christian far-right people have always said that MTV's Satan's network, indoctrinating our children and stealing their souls. But yes, big relationship with 55 and 10. Marilyn Manson did the song about you say God, I say 10, paying tribute to this number code. Anyhow, Dawn Richards from Making the Band, which equals 55. Dawn Richards said that she knew Diddy was beating up Kim Porter, who, by the way, died by the numbers. R.I.P. We covered that when it happened, and they changed her age of death, if you recall. But anyway, Kim Porter, 55. She went from age 46 to 47. Dawn Richards, 41 years old. She was in the group Danity Kane, Diddy group. And 41 is the 13th prime, because next thing you knew, it was this 13-year-old girl like Kobe did at 41 with his daughter, who was 13, in the L.A. city, the 4113 city. But yeah, the legal report was filed September 10th. This was all over the news the day of the VMAs this year. You see how they use this story to market themselves as well, bring more attention to MTV, their product. It's like, okay, Diddy, his useful life as a musician's over to us. Let's use him through the meat grinder, sell some more VMA subscriptions, bring some more attention to our network. But yeah, MTV Video Music Award, just for the record, 119. And with regards to MTV, it also has a gematria value of 26. It's funny, today is 26 days after Arturo Sosa's birthday. You could also say it's his 27th day of his age. That's the leader of the Jesuits. So this happened to Diddy 26 days again after the Jesuits' birthday. Now, again, 26 days after Arturo Sosa's birthday, Jay-Z's in trouble. But MTV does have the 26 in the base ciphers. Again, Diddy 54. The same Jesuit prosecutor who took down R. Kelly at 54 was the same one up Diddy's ass. Jesuit order, John Carroll, again, both 54. Georgetown prosecutor, Georgetown founded by a 54-year-old John Carroll. And remember, what gave us the clue that Diddy and Jay-Z were going down at 54 was when Clarence Avant died, the Black Godfather, dying 54 years after establishing Sussex Records. And when he died, the media syndicated the same image everywhere. Him with his arms around the shoulders of Diddy and Jay-Z. And I said, oh, look, they're both going to turn 54 later this year. That was in 2023. Again, 54 is no slouch of a number. Right now you got the big hoax in New York, the supposed assassination on 54th Street. Nothing but BS, all psyops. Just like this. This whole thing's a big psyop and distraction. This is all BS too right here. So, what do you mean they put out the video of him beating Cassie? What's a video of anything mean at anything in the age of Hollywood and special effects, and not to mention these people are actors who've been in shows and movies? Doesn't mean anything. I get tired of listening to all the dopes' dumb arguments. Again, go back and listen to what Richard Nixon said about all you dopes who believe everything you see on TV. He said the dopes don't believe it unless it's on TV. And actually what he said is the American people, but you can sub in dopes. They're the same thing. The whole world knows America is a society of dopes, and anyone with a brain who was born here, which is a rare occurrence, there's very few of us whose brains are preserved, but any of us who still have our brains know we live in a society of dopes and dummies who think they're smart, and they're not. And then they think the smart people are dumb and crazy, and it's because they're dopes. But anyway, this accusation of Jay-Z, it stems from the same one that was made against Diddy or Sean Combs, and that was on October 21st. And I don't know if there's something to that happening on Netanyahu's birthday. Maybe there is. That was his birthday. But remember, that was 56 days after Cassie's birthday. Cassie has the 56 connection and the 106, like Diddy was arrested on the day, leaving 106 days left in the year. It's a Black Lives Matter thing. It's a 106 in Park thing. That was going with the arrest coming 56 days after No Way Out. And just think about the title of that album. Once you sign on the line in blood and sell your soul for the fame and fortune, there's no way out. The Cassie beating video was dated March 5th, 3/5. Again, we've been covering all this. I don't want to go over all of it. The date of that accusation, October 21st, 24, that was a date with 55 numerology. So anyhow, it's that same accusation. It's the same girl that now who's been added to the lawsuit is Jay-Z. And notice from that day to Jay-Z being added is 49 days later. And remember, Diddy was arrested 49 days before his birthday. And part of that was because it was connected to Kamala, the 49th vice president who went to Howard like Diddy. And again, Diddy's Mr. Rock the Vote, Mr. Vote or Die. But notice, No Way Out came out July 22nd. That day can be written 22/7, like 227, the 49th prime. From the anniversary of that album's release. Again, a lot of people had never heard of Jay-Z until he was on this album on the song Young G's. But from the anniversary of that album coming out to Jay-Z, who is a Mason, getting arrested, or not arrested, but becoming this headline and part of this suit, and maybe his arrest is next. It's 139 days later. Freemasonry 139. Don't forget Tupac Shakur is also 139, and he died on 13/9, and both Diddy and Jay-Z benefited from his death because it opened up the spotlight for others. They were two of the biggest beneficiaries when Tupac died. And then Biggie died, opening the spotlight even more, and all those things are connected. But remember, America is also 139 and 49. 49 is the 33rd composite number for the record. Scottish is 49, like the highest degree of the Scottish Rite's 33. But again, 227, the 49th prime, like how this album came out on 22/7. Again, Young G's is the song. The G is the logo for Freemasonry, but it's also the Church of the Jesu, which is the Mason or the Jesuit headquarters. And Young G's has gematria of 27 like ritual. Again, I said today's 26 days after the Superior General's age. It's also the 27th day of his age. We talked about that with the Syria thing. Syria is also 27. And speaking of the Jesuits, Jay-Z's connected to this, the NFL now, because he does the halftime show. Today's the 95th day of the season that began on 9/5, one day after Beyonce's birthday, which means today's also 95 days after Beyonce's birthday, or the 96th day of her age. 95 is big with the Jesuits, like how they did R. Kelly dirty on September 27th, the day leaving 95 days left in the air. The anniversary of Jesuit-educated Johnny Cochran saying, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. And by the way, they paid tribute to the OJ trial today with the Bills game in Los Angeles. The Bills fell to 10-3. The OJ verdict was on 10-3 in LA, and he died at 76 by the numbers as we covered this year. The Rams became 7-6. Anyhow, the Jesuits were recognized by the Roman Catholic Church on the day leaving 95 days left in the year, September 27th, the day Johnny Cochran delivered his line. That's why they had Josh Allen wearing a glove at the beginning of the season. And yeah, anyhow, nothing but high ritual here with the same old numbers. We've been talking about this through the whole thing. 49 and 55 have been big recurring numbers. And we are just, it's 4 days after Jay-Z's birthday, or the 5th day of him being 55 years old. And again, he was born the day Fred Hampton was assassinated. As part of the ritual they had going on with the Bears game today. The Bears playing in San Francisco, where the Black Panthers were founded. 49 days after Kamala's birthday, who had her DNC in Chicago. On the anniversary of Huey P. Newton dying, the Bears fall to 4-9 versus the 49ers. The coach who made his debut today for the Bears, his name equals 49. Just nothing but jokes. NFL, by the way, NFL has the gematria of 49. Again, Jay-Z's in charge of the halftime show right now. He's getting a lot of flack for putting the LA rapper in the Louisiana Super Bowl when you got a big rap scene in Louisiana that's getting overshadowed. And again, and that's a historical joke too, because the South wasn't really on the map in the origins of hip-hop. It's a New York thing that spread to LA, and that was where the attention was until Cash Money Records came around and No Limit with Master P. So what's the line? Cash Money's taking over for the 9-9. Anyway, I think Master P started to come up in 95 now that I think about it. But anyway. Nothing but high ritual over here, like always. So, Science Guy said it's crazy how people have been conditioned to call anything outside of capitalism communism and support being enslaved. But exactly, Science Guy, it is. It's really annoying, too. It's really annoying. That's why you can see that these people are under some kind of crazy mind control. And they think they live in a capitalist society. You don't. Crony capitalism is not capitalism. You live in a society where your government collects your money, makes you pay taxes, and then redistributes it to their friends and their preferred businesses, and then even creates businesses that they say are private enterprise that aren't. Hello, all of big tech, which is an extension of the CIA and the surveillance state. And again, you guys, I can't even make a video talking about al-Assad going down in the number 23 without getting a message from Google that's not monetizable. Why not? Why can't I share the truth and get paid? Why do they got to cheat on? I mean, again, you guys, I'm asking rhetorical questions here. But yes, exactly. Well put, Science Guy. And shame on the person who left the stupid comment. King Richard says Sean Carter equals 41, the 13th prime. After party 49. Yeah, way to add to it. Exactly. Perfect. Beyonce, she's going to be one of those independent women again. Yeah, I do too, Stephen Bunn. Now, I like that comment, Stephen Bunn. Thank you. But the one earlier was, I mean, man, you should have understood what I was saying. Again, The Cooties 19 was the flu, and that's why they pretended like there wasn't flu anymore, and all of a sudden it was all just Cooties 19. Straight up mockery. All right. This kind of stuff, too, is also part of the PSYOP. Taxes are not mandatory. Okay, try having an income and making taxes and see if you don't have somebody come get up your ass. For all the people who get away with it, you're getting lucky for now. You might not get away with it forever. The state can punish you for not paying taxes by imprisoning you and making you pay very hefty fines. So, again, taxes aren't mandatory. Again, the kind of people who are preaching this are like Paul, right? Paul's bragging about not paying taxes, but Paul lives in his friend's house in a trailer, okay? He found somebody who will pay for him and allow him to sit on the computer and stream about how great he is not paying taxes while he lives on his friend's dime who does pay taxes, okay? Again, these are a lot of people online promoting these myths. Taxes are not mandatory. Wrong. Wrong. Yeah, you can choose not to pay them, and you can get away with it. I've done that in the past, but you better be all cash. You better be all cash. That's the way you do it, and that's why they want to do away with cash. So, yeah, but I get tired of just reading these brain-dead comments that are totally false. You're saying I live at my mom's in her basement. No. All right, you're the same person leaving all the lame comments. So, banned. Now I see they're a troll. Yeah, and sadly, that Paul guy probably is inbred too. He's probably, but for an inbred, he's pretty smart. Might be one of the smarter inbreds there ever was. All right, Honeybee. Hey, everyone go over and subscribe to Honeybee. She's going to do a live stream tonight. Honeybee, hop on the live stream and let us know how we can not pay taxes and not have any repercussions come our way. I have had the IRS up my ass in the past. And I've had them harass me before. When I went down to Oklahoma City, when I was down there, I had the IRS harassing and making me send in paperwork and prove this. And no. Again, Honeybee, try doing something in the world. Try being like a thorn in the federal government's side and let me know how long you get away with not paying taxes. My guess is not very. If you guys can figure out, like Paul, to find a trailer where somebody will let you live in it so you don't have to work and pay taxes and gloat about not paying taxes, that's your prerogative. Okay. Why are they taking down Jay-Z and Diddy? Because their time's up. Again, go back and watch all the videos I did on Diddy. Here, we got somebody who wants to call in real quick. I need to get off, though. I told Sweet Lady I wasn't going to go this long. She's waiting for me. All right, 865, you can close us out. What's up, 865?
Hey, what's going on, Zach? I just want to know if you covered the Daniel Penny story. It's very similar to George Floyd. That's the only reason why I'm asking.
He's the guy who attacked somebody in the subway or something like that? Is that what it is?
Yeah. In New York.
I might have skipped over that story. I remember hearing about it, but I don't know if I actually did cover Daniel Penny.
Okay, I just seen a lot of similarities between it and the George Floyd thing.
Yeah. Again, it says on May 1st, so on the Illuminati's birthday, 2023, Jordan Neely, like getting kneeled on, a 30-year-old homeless man died after a 24-year-old Marine veteran, Daniel Penny, put him in a chokehold. Yeah, add up their ages, 54. Yeah, I'm sure it was a tribute to George Floyd, both in the month of May, 3 years apart. Yeah, I might have skipped that story, or I don't know, maybe I only covered it on my Twitter. It's not on my actual blog, though, I see.
Yeah, I was checking the site to see if you covered it, to see if you what.
Oh, look, they were exactly 153 weeks apart, like Jesuit Orders 153. George Floyd to Jordan Neely getting killed by Daniel Penny. exactly 150. And the Illuminati equals 153, and it was literally on the Illuminati's birthday. So.
Well, it said that they dropped the charge of manslaughter, I guess, on Friday. Yeah, manslaughter charge dismissed in the Daniel Penny chokehold case 2 days ago.
Yeah, that would have been Friday. Well, I guess here from May 1st.
12/6.
Huh?
Do you think there would be something that has to do with the Super Bowl in that too, since it was connected with George Floyd too, or that year of the Super Bowl, anyways?
I have to look more into it. I see the charge was dropped 83 weeks later, the old murder number, so not charged with murder/manslaughter.
Well, what I was thinking was the Super Bowl being in New Orleans, 126, and then this come out 12/6. That was the first thing that popped in my head.
Daniel Penny literally equals George Floyd forwards and backwards. There. Yeah, these stories are definitely connected. Neely, I mean, it's a straight up mockery. So, and not to mention this happened in Manhattan. Runs us to September 11th. Both of their names equal 119, like 11th of 9th month, 11/9. Yeah, there's probably a lot more to it, but apparently I didn't cover this for some reason. So.
Okay, I guess I'll look more into that. I've seen it happen in the 11th state too. You know, New York 11th state, and then it's going to be the 11th Super Bowl in New Orleans this year.
Yeah, might be something to that as well. Indeed. Then
of course it has to be a white guy killing a black guy. It's got to be, publicized everywhere. There's an eyeball. So
all-seeing eye is another one of those 119 words. Keeping the mind's eye of the masses on their constant distractions and psyops. And so Daniel Penny was a white guy killing a black guy as well.
Yeah. He was a former Marine, it says, and I guess he was trying to detain him from what it says on a subway or something like that, and he ended up just choking him out, I guess, and killing him.
Yeah, I'll look more into it. I'll do a post on this. I don't know how I let this story slip through the cracks, but one way or another it happened. So.
All right, Zach. Look forward to it, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, take care. Thank you. All right, let me say thank you to all the super chatters one more time. John Mendoza started us off with the generous $2 that he so often gives. Thank you again, John Mendoza. Run your pockets. Had a nice day with the player props. Well done, Run Your Pockets. Dermot Gunning. You know what's crazy? I wrote, thank you, Dermot Gunning. I took a screenshot of it. I'll show it on Twitter. Google blocked my comment. They instantly blocked it when I wrote, thank you, Dermot Gunning. And when I just wrote, thank you, Dermot, it went through, but I was like, what? I can't say thank you to somebody in the chat without getting the comment blocked? What? But thank you again from overseas. Science Guy. I really love this comment, Science Guy. Yeah. Again. That's how when you're awake and you speak common sense, you just realize how the robotic populace, they always have like the same comments. It's like, how's everybody on this same mind control wave? Everybody thinks the same incorrect ways, same stupid, illogical responses, all feel like they're holier than thou. I wish they'd make a wood chipper big enough to push everybody into it. And I mean, it might sound mean and nasty, but God, these people got to go. We need to start over. These people under severe mind control that won't snap out of it, that think they're holier than thou, they got to go. King Richard TV, always great observations. Thank you again, King Richard. Hood SBE, we'll do another panel one, indeed. Thank you. We'll keep up the work. Thank you. Thank you again, Frank the Truth Tank. Appreciate that, Frank. And Kathy Porter with a big 20 to close us out. Thank you very much. And yeah, we hit a lot of topics here. Again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Thank you to everyone who uses the clip function and just takes small clips of the video and reshares on that platform. Thank you to everyone who downloads videos and takes clips and re-uploads it somewhere else. I wish more people in the world would do that for us. You got these people in the world like the Ben Shapiros. They have millions of people doing that, and no one needs to hear Ben Shapiro. Nobody needs to hear any clips of him. Tim Pool, these people are losers. They're part of the machine. And again, it's because people are under mind control, so all they resonate with is everything from the machine. People need to hear what we're putting out. The actual, factual, undeniable truth. And people are going, no, I think it's all subjective what he's doing. Listen, anyone saying that, let's debate. All the people that make those comments, they won't debate. And there's a reason that they'll always throw out these cheap shots, but then not debate about it because they know they're going to get smoked. It's going to be a smoke show. All right, and Honeybee's going to do a video tonight about how we cannot pay taxes and get away with it. It better be up, Honeybee. Talking big in my chat. I want to know how. As someone who's had to deal with the harassment of the IRS multiple times, I want to know how. You tell me all about it. All right. Until next time, True Seeker.